Hi artists and art lovers, welcome to Season 3, Episode 8 of Princeton Makes podcast, where every month we meet an artist and we dive into their creative lives. I'm Zohar Lavi-Hasson and my guest today is Megan Mitchell. Hi Megan.
Hi.
Very nice to have you here
Nice
at Princeton Makes this
Yeah.
morning. I always start with asking my guests to tell me what Princeton Makes is, because I know, but it's nice to hear it from other perspectives.
Princeton Makes is a collaboration of artists. It's a community of artists that sell things here and create events here and have studios, and it's a great community, and we all love and support each other. I think it's really unique and different. It's not technically a co-op because it's for profit, but we're really not about the profit.
For profit without profit.
Yeah, exactly. We make enough to keep the doors open, and I think that Jim started it, and it still has this where it's just really for the community to create an artist community.
How did you get here? How did you join?
Well, I live a block away.
Okay.
And during the pandemic, I was laid off. I'm an interior designer, and I was working for an architect. I worked for architecture firms that mainly designed office spaces, big office complexes, and lots of big commercial spaces where big communal gatherings of all sorts happen, theaters, schools, offices. And then the pandemic hit, and it really was sort of a rethink moment for me. There was no more work coming in because no one was ever going back to the office or to the theater or to school or anywhere. So I came over here. I literally saw it in the paper.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, our actual physically printed Town Topics.
Wow.
And I was like, you know what? That's so close. And
because you were already making art.
I was already making art, yeah. At the time I was doing more sewing.
Oh.
And Jim was interested in my work because there were a lot of painters, and he wanted more physical, he liked the idea of having more 3D physical objects. It was sort of right before it started in earnest, and he was like, okay. And I was like, oh, okay. Great. Okay, yeah. I'll come back. Yeah. And then it just sort of happened. Yeah. But it was literally a little ad in the paper.
Yeah. How did you start making art?
I mean, I started like we all start as kids, but
yes.
I went in college. I had a great painting teacher who was like, you should minor if you wanted. So I did a minor, and then.
And what did you major in? Design?
I majored in women's studies.
Oh.
Yeah, I was first women's studies major at Dartmouth College.
Huh. And
then I did a studio art minor, so very practical, very career oriented. Yes. And then I went to graduate school at Pratt for industrial design because I felt like I could do art, but I could have a job. Yeah. And then after a year of doing that, I got tired of looking at sneakers and bicycles and cars, which a lot of this focus was on. And I had a great sculpture teacher there, Joe Smith, who was like, I don't know why you're doing industrial design. You should be doing sculpture. And I was like, I know. And so I changed my major to sculpture because, again, career, very career-minded.
Wait. So sculpture, what kind of sculpture?
I was doing all kinds of sculpture. So I started doing a lot of upholstering. I would make armatures and then upholster them with different, with AstroTurf or fur, or, fake fur. I liked woodworking. I did some metal, cast bronze figure sculpture, all of it.
Wow.
Yeah. And drawing and painting, too.
So you...
I really dove in.
Yeah, so you graduated with the green sculpture?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I lived in New York for a few more years. I did a bunch of shows, group shows, and did some installations, and Even got a grant with my friend Rebecca Howard to do a Y2K bug float for the Halloween parade in New York, which was it was just a real highlight. It was a big cockroach. It was a massive cockroach float.
So we're going to have all these amazing things that Megan did, or some of them, in the show notes, a link in the show notes so you can all see it. And then how did you still go and became an architect or a designer?
I became an interior designer. I was very nomadic in my career. You know, I had a lot of jobs. My first job out of Pratt was at an architecture firm, an interior design firm, Brooks and Orrick in Greenwich, Connecticut. And I was doing a reverse commute from Brooklyn. Then I worked for an entertainment design company in Manhattan that, you know, the clients were like Disney and Nike and big, think like Rainforest Cafe. It was like very like immersive environments. And went to work on magazine layouts. They're all visual jobs, but it just very different. And again, that was a while ago. I then went to an art colony. I lived in an art colony for a while after 9/11. This was a very special place for me. I had done a 1-month residency when I was still working at the ASPCA, and then I had just quit my job at the ASPCA because that's what I did. I just quit. You know, like I didn't have another job, but I was always able to get another job. So, but then 9/11 happened, and I was like, and then they called me and were like, why don't you come up to Vermont and just work? So I worked in the development office up there. I worked on, you know, helping out with the grants and
so you then worked there?
Yeah, I worked there. So I lived there for a little less than a year. Again, very nomadic.
Yeah.
And then I went home to my original home in Albany, and I worked as a costume maker at a summer stock theater there.
Nice.
And then I went to San Francisco. I'd always wanted to live out west. So I went out there and eventually got work as a drafter. I knew AutoCAD, and I worked planning office spaces at that point for a Knoll Furniture. So we would work with Sharper Image, or I don't know who it's probably Nike again, like some of the clients out there to design their offices and all the little parts and pieces. It was a really technical behind the scenes job of like each little piece that needs to go into the cubicles, those horrid open offices. But it was a great job.
Oh, it was.
And the people were great.
Yeah.
And it really got me more interested in interior design again, which was, you know, I had started sort of there. I really have always been interested in spaces and interior design since I was a child. Part of that is that I have a brother who used to be very sensitive to spaces. And I noticed that he was sensitive to spaces. He would avoid certain places. So I would rearrange things. And change things so that he was more comfortable, or that he didn't have to go over there. You know, like if he had to go over to the place that made him uncomfortable to get something, his coat or whatever, I would move it. I would move that to hang it up somewhere else, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think from a very early age, like 2, I was very aware of how spaces and things in your environment can dramatically affect your mental state, what you do physically, and then how you feel. I think when I came back to interior design, it was sort of like, oh yeah.
You have it in your brain. It's just something.
It was already there. Yeah, it was already
naturally
there.
you think about it.
I think about it anyway, so I may as well like actually think about it.
Yeah.
And I think my art always has related to interior design anyway.
How?
Well, like at Pratt, I started doing sculpture, and I did things with velvet ropes or cones, you know, things that direct traffic.
Okay.
I did. I upholstered a shopping cart. I did these 2 stoplights that were mounted on bar stools, sort of like communication and flow of traffic. You know. And they're all just very spatially, or I mean, they're 3-dimensional to start out with, but they talk a lot about like procession, how you move through the world, and the rules that are applied or not applied, you know, how you're directed with, like I did velvet ropes, for example, but I turned them into like hoops that you had to jump through, things like that. And I did like a bulletproof glass sculpture over a mirror. Like it's sort of always about communication, rules, and spaces, you know, so.
It sounds like it's a communication and spaces that are outdoors, like some of the things that you said, like the stop sign
public.
in the room.
Yeah, like
public.
how we move through public spaces. That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Public spaces, and then you design them in like a cozy, warm way of seeing them, as opposed to like cold stop sign and ropes and lines.
Yeah, I've always been very into materials. I always really liked using really luxurious materials, things that you want to touch and interact with. But that was a conflict, really, because they were art pieces, so you're not really supposed to touch them, you know?
Yeah.
So then when I moved to Vermont, I started making hats. Partly because I was in Vermont, partly because I was turning 30, and I had a party where everybody got a hat.
Oh, cute.
And I had made adorned the hats with different things. That was a really fun party, actually. But we went bowling, so each hat had the word bowl on there somewhere. And then I started getting into the fact that people could touch it. You know, people could like. So that line between design and art is a very interesting one for me. It always has been. Like, I really got a kick out of the fact that people could use the thing that I was making as opposed to just look at it and walk around it, you know. But I think that there is room for both. I don't think I'm fully one or the other.
How is your art related to the interior designer in you? You did a lot of different art making, right?
Yeah.
How is it always related or sometimes related?
Well, right now, since I've been back at Princeton Makes, I started with the hats because that was sort of where I left off. And then I got more into painting again.
Yeah, I know when I came here, you were just sewing and doing fabrics and stuff. And then what happened that you started to paint?
I'm not exactly sure why I started to paint again, but there was something a little more free about it. You know, even if you make a pattern, even if you're creating the pattern for a hat, it's still very predictable. I mean, you know what you're making ahead of time. It's more execution, and I like the execution of it, but it's more planned. Painting was a little more free, and I think I needed a little more freedom at that time. I was, again, coming off of this job, not knowing there was COVID, not knowing where I was going next in terms of work, and I think it just gave me mental space to just play and not have to have it be functional. Yeah. So I got really into it, and I'm still painting now. I have actually sold paintings. I've never sold paintings before. Amazing. So it's really.
I have to say, your paintings remind me a little bit of design or architecture, right? You have lines.
Yeah,
so
I've always. I mean, I love art. I love composition. I love trying to push the eye around the canvas.
Right.
It's been an exercise of freedom, but also and playing, but also like, well, let me try and direct the eye around the canvas, you know, compositionally. Not really giving myself any rules about what it has to look like, just literally trying to be like, okay, I want to make a painting where your eye never stops. There's no like dead spot where it just like dead ends. Oh. And so
you think about that when you're painting?
Yeah, like my paintings have like about 10 paintings underneath.
Oh, wow. How long does it take you to
Because I don't come up with a composition first. I start going, and then just.
Do you like that?
I do, and I should say I have also done a couple of things that were more planful, like where I had a photograph.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm a mom. Like I think my kids are gorgeous. Yeah. I love looking at them, and sometimes when now over the past few years they've become older. I have an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old, and I, sometimes when I'm not feeling as connected to them, I'll start painting them.
Mm. What do they think about the paintings?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah, and they don't look exactly like them.
No,
I try and play up. Well, first of all, I don't think I can. I'm not that type of a parent that where I can make. But I try and tell a story in there.
Yeah.
My interior design practice is all about stemming from my experience as a child, really bringing people comfort, bringing people ease, so that they can communicate with each other more comfortably and find more connection with each other, even if it's just with themselves. I think it's the most intimate place on earth, really, hopefully, where you live. I mean, I didn't go into it intentionally to link it. It's like the art side of me and the design side of me sort of ping-ponging back and forth.
Right.
But you do use art in interior design. And also a lot of my paintings are about space and composition and movement. Even though they're two-dimensional, I like to create space in them.
Yeah.
Sort of a resting spot for eyes sometimes. Paintings can be almost like a little meditative moment in a design, in a room, a focal point in a room.
Yeah.
And it can really tell a story or give the space some more life.
Yeah. So when you're painting, you think about how they're going to be in a space?
No, because I don't want to put that on me.
Right.
But I do think that there's a home out there for each painting.
Yeah.
I just don't know where it is.
Yeah. But in your paintings also you have consciousness of space and focal points and how the experience of the, like, not user but viewer in your painting.
Yeah, it's like I think about interior design a lot through the lens of procession. I mean, I come from a commercial design background, and now I'm doing residential design, but a lot of the same elements apply. How do you feel when you move in? What can you see? What are the sight lines? Yeah. Where do you have to go to put things down? Like how you walk through a threshold and into a space. It's important in commercial design and in residential design. Also, when you go into one of my paintings, I feel like there's a processional, like there's a walkabout, there's a path. Almost like I was saying about your eye kind of moving. And if you study art, that's composition, they'll talk all about that. You know, how your eye moves.
Design the experience of the it's like in film also.
Right, exactly.
Design an emotional journey.
Exactly.
So now you're here, you have art making, you have big kids. And where did your career go from there?
Well, I started Megan Mitchell Studios, which is an interior design studio. I'm focusing on residential design primarily, but I also can still do small commercial design spaces.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Are you by yourself?
I'm by myself, ish. I mean, I pull in people as needed, and I have a great community of friends who are architects and designers. Yeah. My style or my background within interior design and my education in interior design is more interior architecture. Like I was saying, I care about the bones. Like I care about how you walk in, what's there, where are you going to put your bag down, how are you going to launch and land in your space.
So the functionality of the space.
Yeah, I mean, it has to look gorgeous. Don't get me wrong. It has to be amazing. It has to be sustainable. But I want to bring you in, and it's almost like at an event. I love hosting events too, like anticipating your needs. And a lot of that happens through conversations with clients before anything gets designed. You know, finding out really what's underneath. Why are you considering doing this? Because a lot of it is about connection with family members. You know, a big open kitchen might be really about, you know, your kids are leaving for college soon and you really want to spend, you know, you want to be in the same space with them as much as possible before they leave. Or you might have a child who has special needs. I tend to gravitate towards those families because I am one of those families.
Yeah.
I'm in the special education parent sort of community, and there are a lot of things that you can do to help all the members of the family, whether it's like acoustics, changing up the arrangement of the rooms so that you can focus more, allowing for more fresh air, allowing for more natural light, reorienting where you look in a room, just sort of reducing the cognitive load of the space sometimes so that you can not expend so much energy. A lot of spaces, including in schools, are really chaotic.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, like the resource room has like a gazillion things to look at. I'm like, how is any kid who's struggling to learn gonna find any comfort here? You know, stuff like that. I digress.
No.
It's all related to me.
Yeah.
You know, it's all part of the same soup. It's all part of the same.
When we had young children, we moved to a house that had a big space for a living room and kitchen and dining room, all one space. And we thought it was so great and modern and beautiful, but with 2 little kids, boys, running around screaming, and you have to cook. There's no like escape. It was so hard, and the sound was just, I don't recommend this with young children.
It's part of what I love about what I do now is that I have all these techniques from commercial design, because in commercial design, people think about acoustics, acoustic privacy, bounce. If you're doing Zoom calls, you think about the lighting, you think about privacy. People never think about that stuff with their home.
Right.
But for example, this project I just finished, we did 2 sections, really large sections of this massive room. There was screens, and then there's this acoustic felt treatment on the ceilings. It looks like shiplap, like you would find on a porch ceiling or something like that. But it's felt, so it reduces the amount of bounce.
Yeah.
And they have 2 little kids too. But people typically don't do things like that in homes, even though it dramatically helps.
Yeah. So you have a lot of work?
Not right now. I just finished a big project.
So Megan is looking for work. If anyone needs interior design,
I'm looking for specific clients.
Yes.
Like who really care
You're
about.
picky.
Yeah. Well, I'm not for everyone. I realize I put a lot of thought into the spaces I design and a lot of care. I'm not fast.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't do things online. I want to be in person.
Yeah.
And I want to know you. And get all up in your business so that I can help you better. Because the end result is like people just want to go there. They just want to be there. They don't necessarily even understand why.
Right.
That's okay. They don't need to. I know why.
Yeah. So Megan, we have a job for you now, because Princeton Makes is moving, and we're moving down several shops down the shopping center, next to the Pizza Star and Princeton Nassau Pediatrics. And when the space right now looks very empty, not so appealing. We do know all the needs that we have to that space. We know the people. We know all their special needs and stuff.
Yes, artists have a lot of
special needs.
Yes, we do.
And we really need the help with designing. We have no budget. And of course, we, as always, you're wanted without pay. So help us make that space as beautiful as this space. Were you involved in designing this space?
This a little bit, but yes, Jim has sent me the floor plan, the basic floor plan, and I'm going to play around with
good.
How to arrange because there's sight lines that I think very important.
We have reached the point where I ask you very quick questions and you answer very quick answers.
Okay.
You ready for that?
Yes.
Okay. So first one is, who is your favorite artist of all times?
Rodin.
What is your favorite material to create with?
Fake fur. I would have to say.
Cool. What is the space that you feel the most creative at?
Princeton Makes.
Yeah.
100%.
Ooh. What music or podcast or soundtrack you listen to when you create, if at all?
I listen to music and I follow my daughter's playlists.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's a lot of R&B and a lot of new female artists.
Okay.
Also Daniel Caesar, Frank Ocean. There are men in there too.
What is your worst artistic nightmare?
I would think not having art would be an artistic nightmare. Being completely blocked would be my artistic nightmare.
Yeah. In one word, can you describe how you feel when you make art?
Timeless.
Okay, nice. Okay, so that's it for us. Let's talk a little bit about how people can find you.
Okay.
Do you have a website?
I do. It's meganmitchellstudios.com.
And there's a contact us option there?
Yes.
If people are interested?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Megan Mitchell Studios on Instagram too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you also put your art there or just your
I do
work?
I have a paintings section.
Cool.
Yeah.
And also people can find your artwork here at Princeton Makes.
Mm-hmm.
You also have your art at the window right now because you're the artist of the month. You will have an artist talk, but we don't know when yet. So we're going to put it on the show notes as soon as we know.
It might be in the beginning of June, before we move.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Megan. It was lovely chatting with you.
Thank you.
We are Princeton Makes podcast. Our designer is RD. Our theme music is by Renata Pugh. I'm Zohar Lavi-Hasson, producing and hosting. If you have any questions or comments, please email to our email address, princetonmakespodcast@gmail.com. Also, let us know if you would like to be added to our mailing list. We send newsletters once or twice a month with all the amazing events that we are having here. Please rate and share this podcast so it can reach others and maybe inspire them to create. Princeton Makes is located at the Princeton Shopping Center. We are open Thursday to Sunday, 10 to 6. Until next time, be creative and kind. Now we just have to hope that it recorded everything. If not, I will see you again.
Yeah.